Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Gauranitai, 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 Jaya Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya 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 Gurudev, 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 Jaya Gurudev. Jayam Vishupad Paramahansa Paravikacharya Asatoro Sata Shri Srimad, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Śrīla Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavinda Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam Ki Jai. Samaveda Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi. All glories to the Summa devotees. All glories to the Summa devotees. All glories to the Summa devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Hari 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 Bol. Om Jnana Timirandjasya Gananjanan Shalakaya Chakshulinitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadadmayam Tadati Swam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Sham Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragnatamitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvarutam Parijanam Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitan Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakambitam Cham He Krishna Karana Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopikanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorange Radhe Vrindavareshwari Vishwamana Sutadevi Pranamahi Haripriye Vanchakappa Tubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaivam Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Utojayam Udirayet Nasapareshu Abareshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavad-uttama shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtaki Shrinvata Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtanam Hiriranstoi Bhadrani Vidunati Saritsitam. We're reading today from the second canto, chapter 2, The Lord in the Heart, and we're going to read text 36. So you can repeat after me. Tasmāt sarvatmanā rājan Tasmāt sarvatmanā rājan hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś smartavyo nṛṇām smartavyo nṛṇām tasmāt sarvātmanā rājan hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś smartavyo nṛṇām tasmāt sarvātmanā rājan hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś smartavyo nṛṇām. Hriday Chaitanya, Prabhu. Let Prabhu chant first. Let Hriday Chaitanya, you want to? Okay, go ahead. Bolo. Hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś smartavyo nṛṇām tasmāt sarvātmanā rājan hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś smartavyo nṛṇām. Sarvatra sarvadā kīrtitavyaś Vaishnavis tasmāt sarvātmanā rājan hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś smartavyo Bhagavān tasmāt sarvātmanā rājan hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś smartavyo Bhagavān tasmāt sarvātmanā rājan hariḥ sarvatra sarvadā śrotavyaḥ kīrtitavyaś smartavyo Bhagavān. Tasmāt, therefore, sarva, all, ātmanā, soul, rājan, O King, hariḥ, the Lord, sarvatra, everywhere, sarvadā, always, śrotavyaḥ, must be heard, kīrtitavyaḥ, glorified, cha, also, smartavyo, be remembered, Bhagavān, Personality of Godhead, nṛṇām, by the human being. Translation. O King, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, always and everywhere. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Śrīla Prabhupada Ki. Śrīla Śukadeva Gosvāmī begins this verse with the word tasmāt, or therefore, because in the previous verse he has already explained that there is no auspicious means for salvation other than the sublime process of bhakti-yoga. The bhakti-yoga process is practiced by the devotees in different methods like hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshiping, praying, rendering service in love, becoming friendly, and offering all that one may possess. All 9 methods are bona fide methods. In either all of them, some of them, or even one of them can bring about the desired result for the sincere devotee. But out of all the 9 different methods, the first one, namely hearing, is the most important function in the process of bhakti-yoga. Without hearing sufficiently and properly, no one can make any progress by any of the methods of practice. And for hearing only, all the Vedic literatures are there, compiled by authorized persons like Vyasadeva, who is the powerful incarnation of Godhead. And since it has been ascertained that the Lord is the super soul of everything, He should therefore be heard and glorified everywhere and always. That is the special duty of the human being. When the human being gives up the process of hearing about the all-pervading personality of Godhead, he becomes victim to hearing rubbish transmitted by man-made machines. Machinery is not bad because through the machine one can take advantage of hearing about the Lord. But because machinery is used for ulterior purposes, it is creating rapid degradation in the standard of human civilization. It is said here that it is incumbent upon the human beings to hear because the scriptures like Bhagavad-gītā and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam are made for that purpose. Living beings other than human beings have no ability to hear such Vedic literatures. If human society gives itself to the process of hearing the Vedic literature, it would not become a victim to the impious sounds vibrated by impious men who degrade the standards of the total society. Hearing is solidified by the process of chanting. One who has perfectly heard from this perfect source becomes convinced about the all-pervading personality of Godhead, and thus becomes enthusiastic in glorifying the Lord. All the great acharyas like Ramanuja, Madhava, Chaitanya, Sarasvatī Ṭhākura, or even in other countries, Muhammad, Christ, and others, have all extensively glorified the Lord by chanting always and in every place. Because the Lord is all-pervading, it is essential to glorify him always and everywhere. In the process of glorifying the Lord, there should be no restriction of time and space. This is called sanātana-dharma or bhagavata-dharma. Sanātana means eternal, always and everywhere. Bhagavata means pertaining to the Bhagavān, the Lord. The Lord is the master of all time and all space, and therefore the Lord's holy name must be heard, glorified, and remembered everywhere in the world. That will bring about the desired peace and prosperity so eagerly awaited by the people of the world. The word cha includes all the remaining processes or methods of bhakti-yoga as mentioned above. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasnaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti-vedanta Swāmī Namane Namaste Sarasvatī Devi Gauravani Pacharane Nivasesha Sunyavadi Pasyata Deshitarane. So we're at the end of this second chapter of the second canto, The Lord in the Heart. And so many things in here to talk about, isn't it? You could talk about this one purport for years. So, but what I wanted to bring out is actually this verse 35, 36, and 37 are dependent on one another. Because, well, I mean, the point is this. All of us have this experience. Maybe you listen to a lecture of Śrīla Prabhupada on Bhagavad-gītā 2:13, for instance, right? And depending on the year in which he's speaking on that verse, you find he emphasizes different things. So the point is that you have to see it in relation to the context in which he's speaking. You know, it's very spiritual life is bhakti yoga, as is mentioned here, is actually a very simple process. It really comes down to hearing and chanting. So what more needs to be said? Bas. But yet we have, 18,000 verses Bhagavatam, 800 verses, 700 verses Gita, so much that explains this in so many different contexts. Why? To convince everyone to become enthused to engage in that process. So we want to see it in that context. So the verse before, he was talking about how the person of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna, is in every living being along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. And then in the last verse, which I'll talk about tomorrow, he says, those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead, to the lotus feet of him. So these verses are actually, Maharaj Parikshit is speaking, and this is in response to, of course, Śukadeva Gosvāmī. This is Śukadeva Gosvāmī speaking to Maharaj Parikshit. So in his response to Maharaj Parikshit, we look at this in terms of his life so that we can relate it to ourselves. The Bhagavatam is a collection of stories with their parables that help motivate us. So as we know, Maharaj Parikshit is I think he's a great-grandson, isn't he? He's the grandson of Subhadra, who is the sister of Lord Krishna. So technically, he's the grandson of Krishna, which means he's a Mahatma. He's a great soul. He's already realized. He knows when all these emotions or things are coming in his heart. He already knows how to react to them. Then on top of that, he's the king of the world. Imagine that responsibility. You know, we're trying to manage Mayapur. We have so many co-directors, so many things, and, you know, sometimes it's a little difficult. Sometimes it's very nice. So what to speak if you give the co-directors the whole world to manage? Not an easy task. It's basically, and you may summarize, well, that's a material thing. Is it? And you have to see, you know, why has the Lord put me in this situation? That's really what we want to know all the time. Why has the Lord put me in this situation? What should I do? So Maharaj Parikshit was running things very nice. But as we know from the Bhagavatam, the Lord had a whole nother plan in place, right? His goal was to bring this Goloka Prem to the world. This hasn't been exhibited in, it only comes once in the day of Lord Brahma. That's what, 1,000 yuga cycles. Long time. But he desired, no, I want this to be shown. Because in the Vedas, mainly deals with all these religious principles and, you know, how to liberate yourself. But it doesn't give you Krishna Prem on the level of Goloka Vrindavan. So, but who knows that? Nobody knows that. We don't know that. Even Parikshit, he doesn't know. So it is arranged what happens to him. While as any good manager, he's out and about, trying to see the citizens, see how the kingdom is going on. And by the direction of the super soul, which that verse 35 says, you know, super soul's involved, he directs them in such a way that he comes across the yogi who's meditating in trance. And he just so happens he becomes thirsty. He's very parched. He wants some water so badly. Why didn't Super Soul arrange for him to be near some river? It's easy, take a drink, finish. If that happened, there'd be no Bhagavatam. But he doesn't know that. So he's there, and just at that moment he becomes thirsty, and the impetus which comes in his heart makes him become angry. Why are you ignoring me? I'm the king. And you turn your back to me? You're supposed to serve me? That's not the nature of the person who has Krishna Prem, is it? But he gets bewildered, just like Arjuna was bewildered, so that we can have Bhagavad-gītā. So he becomes bewildered so we can have Bhagavatam. And he becomes so angry, he decides to put a garland, dead snake around him. He says, oh, you want to offend me? I'll offend you. This is the nature in the material world. You do to me, I do to you. There's no question of forgiveness. But these elevated personalities are not like that. They're not so subjective to their emotions. They have controls of them. And then again, the son of this yogi, he becomes offended, which doesn't happen. Even though he's a 5-year-old boy, but, oh, the king, he knew right, the king did this? I curse you to die. Not just die, I want you to die by being bitten by a snake. You know, because snakes are envious, so they bite for no reason. No, let's make it a snake bird. So powerful. And then later, the king, when he hears this news, he realized, oh, what have I done? Now what should I do? He has a responsibility for the kingdom. He's not an old man. It's not time for him to go to the forest, is it? No. But because he's got Krishna Prem, and the impetus comes in the heart, die, go to the woods. You have 7 days. You see? He could have counteracted the curse, but he chose to do that. So therefore, he renounced his kingdom, went off to the woods. And in the woods, he knows there's so many great sages there to help guide them through this process of dying. And just by chance, what happens again by Krishna's arrangement? All these great sages are performing a 1,000-year jaga to stop the effects of Kali Yuga from coming. What are the chances? You know, they're all there. They think they're there to stop Kali Yuga. But imagine how magnanimous that is. This is the nature of a sadhu. He's not thinking of himself. He's thinking of everyone else. So we don't want people in the future to suffer. Let us stop this we'll do this jaga. And now here comes King Parikshit. And he informs him, I have 7 days before I die. Again, another miracle. Here comes Śukadeva Gosvāmī. You see how Super Soul has arranged everything? And why is he there? Because he was in the 16 years in the belly of his mother. He had Brahman realization and a personalist. He's like, I'm not coming out. If I come out, I'm going to fall into Maya. So I'll just stay right here. I don't care what inconvenience it gives my mother. She's not that body. So Vyasadeva he realizes, let me elevate this soul a little bit more. Let's give him Krishna Prem. So he speaks Bhagavatam. And then when he comes out, immediately he leaves. Super Soul directing again. And he's just walking. By chance, he comes across this assembly of great sages. It appears by chance. But actually, all of this is for our benefit now. And then again, that 16-year-old boy, there and present in that assembly are all these great sadhus who have been very much older than Śukadeva Gosvāmī. Even Vyasadeva, Narada appear. And Maharaj Parikshit, of course, has made it known, I'm going to die in 7 days. And no one has told him, no, you go back and manage the kingdom. That's more important. No, he didn't say that. And he asked the question, what should I do? So when Śukadeva Gosvāmī appears, they know somehow or another, this is the person who's perfect for instructing him. Think about it. Vyasadeva is there. Why didn't they call Vyasadeva? He spoke the Bhagavatam. No, he is the perfect person to do this. And everyone sat. And then respect is offered to Śukadeva Gosvāmī. He gets his seat. And then Maharaj Parikshit says to him, please let me know, this is in the end of the first chapter of the first canto. Please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me. But before that, of course, he said, you are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. This is the most important question of human life. We're all going to die. Everyone knows that. Even the non-devotees know that. I'm sure all of us have been through that phase in our life where we realize, I'm going to die. Why? What should I do? Why am I here? So the karmis, they go, whatever. They just keep going. Let me enjoy, because the impetus is coming. And their heart is full of desire to be the Lord. So they can't hear the super soul. They just hear Maya. I know in the Western world, they always show this thing with the devil on one shoulder and the angel on one shoulder, right? And the angel's like, you should do like this. And the devil's, be quiet, don't listen to him. So then again, he says, please let me know what a man should hear, chant, remember, and worship, and also what he should not do. Please explain all this to me. So then Śukadeva Gosvāmī begins in the second canto in that first chapter. He begins to explain all the various processes, just like in Bhagavad-gītā. Of course, Arjuna and Krishna were friends, so he began in a friendly way with him. You don't want to do this. You're going to be embarrassed. You're a king. People are going to talk about you. Come on, be strong. Don't be a wimp. And then gradually, more and more topics were introduced until the 9th chapter, where he discusses bhakti-yoga, pure devotion to Krishna. So similarly here, we see he goes through the second canto, chapter 1, briefly goes through yoga process, virat roop, so many things. Second chapter we're in, he even begins to describe how to meditate on the Lord. And finally, these 3 verses are there where he actually answers this question. Again, he says, Personality of Godhead, Lord Sri Krishna is in every living being along with the individual soul. And this fact is perceived and hypothesized in our acts of seeing and taking help from the intelligence. O King, it is therefore essential that every human being hear about, glorify, and remember the Supreme Lord, the Personality of Godhead, always and everywhere. And then again, the last part where he says, those who drink through oral reception, fully filled with the nectarian message of Lord Krishna, the beloved of the devotees, purify the polluted aim of life known as material enjoyment, and thus go back to Godhead. So going back to Godhead, this is the highest goal, the highest perfection of life. Previous to this, of course, he did discuss about as he's traversing all the different activities in the higher planets, even up to Satyaloka. And therefore, again, reaffirming to Maharaj Parikshit, don't get bewildered. Go back to Godhead. So then the rest of the Bhagavatam is going to go on, and it will further elaborate on all these principles in various ways with different pastimes of different devotees. And another thing we can draw out of this is that Prabhupada in the Purport, of course, he's just jumped right into this right away. You see? Of course, like he said, he refers here, he says, Śukadeva Gosvāmī begins this verse with the word tasmāt, or therefore, because. In the previous verse, he has already explained that there's no auspicious means for salvation other than the sublime process of bhakti-yoga. So he said, don't waste time with these other things. Just take to bhakti-yoga. And you go, okay, what is bhakti-yoga? Basically, it's 9 things. Hearing, chanting, remembering, serving the lotus feet of the Lord, worshiping, praying, rendering service and love, becoming friendly, and offer all that one may possess. And he says, and it doesn't matter. You can do all of them. You can do one of them. You can do some of them. And you get the desired result. So there's also some, in the Bhagavatam later, it gives examples of people who have perfected themselves through those 9 processes. So where did I put it? Wrote it down here. It mentions how, this is, of course, Maharaj Parikshit, he attained the highest perfection, shelter the lotus feet of the Lord. How? Hearing. Right? So he's the acharya of how to hear. And how was that? 7 days. Not just 7 days, but 24 hours a day. No prasadam breaks. No water breaks. Straight. And all the sages too. Same. Everybody was there. I know, like, thinking back to Prabhupada, seeing Prabhupada visit the temples, he felt like that also. At least 2 or 3 hours. You hear those pastimes where, in the beginning, like some Janmasmis, Prabhupada would just have them read Krishna book. You all know that pastime? No? Who doesn't know that pastime? Raise your hand. Let me see. Okay, I'll give it a little. Russian devotees. Yeah. New Vrindavan. But it was very simple. Just chanting Hare Krishna. Not like nowadays. Now we have Janmashtami. It's very elaborate. There's fire jaga, so many things, and so many ways to engage you. But, the movement was kind of poor back then. So lucky they had Krishna book. So Prabhupada said, open it, begin reading. And devotees were fasting too. In those days, nirjal. not even drinking water. And they read one pastime, pass it to the next devotee, to the next devotee. And after a while, everybody's starting to... With Prabhupada, he's Krishna praying. He's becoming more enlivened. I don't think he even notices. This is after the midnight artik, I think they're reading. So finally he says, okay, that's enough. Take prasad. So, yeah, it would be nice if we get to that stage. We can sit 7 days, 24 hours a day, and you're so absorbed that you don't even feel hunger or thirst. You don't even feel it, huh? You ready for that? Yeah, right? I am. So, then, of course, Śrīla Śukadeva Gosvāmī, he attained perfection simply by reciting Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Same thing, 7 days. Of course, he just heard from his father, and still he goes on. Prahlad Maharaj attained perfection by remembering. The goddess of fortune attained perfection by massaging the transcendental legs of Mahavishnu. How many want that service? I'll take that, right? Seems easy. Easier than japa. I'll just massage their legs. Maharaj Prithu attained perfection by worshiping the deity. And Ṭhākura attained perfection by offering prayers unto the Lord. Hanuman attained perfection by rendering service to Lord Ramachandra. And Arjuna attained perfection simply by being Krishna's friend. And Bali Maharaj attained perfection by dedicating everything to the lotus feet of the Lord. So again, also, you think about that pastime too. Perplexing, what to do. Vamanadev is there, and he's asking for 3 steps of land. His guru, very self-aware, he knows, oh, this is Vishnu. Right? But he's a little selfish, even though he knows it's Vishnu. He's like, he's going to take everything, and what am I going to have? No, you can't do that. You can't do that. So he tries to influence his disciple. Don't give him anything. He's going to take it all. I think he shouldn't have said that to him, because maybe he might not have. But now that he made it clear this is Vishnu, he has to decide, do I listen to Vishnu? Do I listen to my guru? Which one do I do? Either way is going to be bad. He's going to take everything, or my guru is going to curse me. All right, let me satisfy Vishnu. Let me satisfy Vishnu. So, and of course, nice pastime. Okay, let me take my 3 steps. Took everything, right? One little side note in that pastime. We have our Jayapataka Maharaj, right? Actually, that name, Jayapataka, it states when he takes his 2nd step and it pierces the coverings of the universe, that he looked like a flagpole, the kind of flagpole that they use in parades, like the military marching. They call that a pataka. So it's a Jaya Pataka, victory flag. So he looked like that, the way he was standing, his leg up like that. So even as devotees ourselves, we all have these crossroads, don't we? What should I do? Maybe one choice is good, one is bad, maybe. Therefore, we have Krishna, he recommends you take shelter of Guru, Shastra, Sadhu. Why not just Shastra? Why not just Guru? Because they're very perplexing sometimes. If you're fortunate, everyone will get those. You're going to get it eventually. Otherwise, how are you going to advance? Because when you go through this, in the end, you have to reevaluate. And then you'll know, was it Krishna or was it not Krishna? And then the next time you'll be prepared, right? A devotee once asked Prabhupada, how do I know what the temple president is telling me to do is Krishna's desire? Right? Some of us have that question sometime. And Srila Prabhupada replied, you don't know. You have to judge it by the result. You see? Yeah. So that makes life exciting. We need some challenges, some risk. You don't want boring life. Everything is very black and white and clear. What to do. That's boring, isn't it? So therefore, part of this Leela now is the Sankirtan Jagna. A lot of challenges. This Prabhupada grew the movement. He didn't tell people very specifically what to do. It's however they were inspired, he would encourage them. Mahiti, Shamasundar, and the two other household couples, they approached Prabhupada with this idea that if we can make the Beatles devotees, it would be very good for the movement. Imagine, they can't even buy a stick of butter, and they're going to go meet the Beatles and make them devotees. You know, just kind of, yeah, right, you're going to meet them. And she just had a young child, just had a baby. And what did Prabhupada say? Just do it. He didn't say, oh, you need to take care of your child, raise them according to Varna, Ashram, Vedic system, and make your child Christian conscious in that way. He said, no, go. Mm-hmm. So many things came out that way, so many things, and Krishna's just manifesting them. Even Tamal Krishna Maharaj going to China, it came about because he had this Radha Damodar party, was distributing thousands of books, making so many devotees, but he was creating such a disturbance with the other temples. You know, every time he showed up at a temple, here's Tamal Krishna Vishnu Jan Swami, and I'm a brahmachari. How do you feel if you're a brahmachari? I'm going with Maharaj, right? I'm not going to stay here with these householders. Is it? That's natural. Traveling with the Maharaj on the bus. Shh. You can taste it. It's like, ah. Even the householders want to do that too. So he show up in the temples, and instead of telling people to stay, he tell them, in the morning, I'll meet you down on the road over there. Steal all the brahmacharis. Transcendental competition. You could say, is it Maya? Is it Krishna? It's transcendental. Pastimes. So then he had to get the pastime of chastisement too, Tamal Krishna. He comes to Mayapur, and the GBC just smashed him. And Prabhupada also, he became very upset. So Tamal tried to, he was complaining, well, I'm distributing so many books, why are they complaining? Finally, he was like, well, then I might as well just go to China. He was just saying it. So Prabhupada thought, oh, Krishna. I never thought about China. We had to go to China. He just said China. The next morning, and Tamal knew, oops, I shouldn't have said that. So he's trying to prepare himself to not go to China. Prabhupada was so anxious for it, he brings him out of Mangal Artik even. I was just saying, Prabhupada, oh, I've been racking my brain all night, and now you're telling me you were just saying? You see? He said, you only have two choices. You either sit here in Mayapur or you go to China. That's it. So you see, now we see so many Chinese devotees. You know. Pastimes, wasn't it? It may seem very distressing, very, you know. So the same way, you know, ISKCON has grown like that. It always seems to come out of some distress. So when you see distress going on, it doesn't mean everything is bad. The place is falling apart, you know. Kill the managers, put them on the doesn't mean that. You have to see what is Krishna doing there. He's churning it up for some reason. You have to see. He uses devotees, you know, like Akura. We read here Akura is one of the Mahajans for prayers. What was his duty? He was the servant of Kamsa who wants to kill Krishna. How many people would take that job? You know your boss wants to kill Krishna and you're going to keep working for him? Why did he stay? Super souls motivated him, giving him impetus. No, he never told him quit. Because he has to come to Vrindavan and bring Krishna from Vrindavan so that the residents of Vrindavan can experience the highest pleasure, which is separation from Krishna. So someone had to take that horrific position of being the servant of Kamsa. And even when he finally got there, go get Krishna, he was, I get to go see Krishna. He wasn't even thinking the fruit of all that activity. And he gets cursed by the gopis even. But he got to see Krishna. So by, of course, this verse here, Prabhupada didn't mention much about it. He talks a lot about the hearing and chanting. He said of the 9 processes, this hearing and then the chanting, this will awaken you to the point where your intelligence, it won't be so bewildered. It won't be. Why? Well, as your prema arises, then you'll act accordingly. The problem is in the beginning, we're more motivated. Even Krishna says, 4 kinds of people surrender to me, right? So people come with some motivation. And over some time, maybe those motivations are satisfied. And so some go back. You know, I don't need Krishna consciousness. I don't want to surrender that much. I'm happy with the amount of surrender I have already. So, you know. So maybe we don't come to the final stage. You know. I remember that when I joined, you feel like, you know, it's going to take a couple months. I'm going to have Krishna praying. You know, and that's about, I remember for me, at least the 6th month, that's when the first test came. You know, first, he can't talk to me like that. That's not fair. These people in this temple are not. I'm going to leave. And do what? Go back to karmi life? No, I'll just stay. Let me become humble. Trinadapi, Sunichina, Tarodapi, is that you see? Let me become humble. Why? I want to achieve. We can have that motivation. I want to achieve Krishna Prema. I don't want to take birth again. I don't want to die and take birth again. Maybe those with Krishna Prema don't mind, but I don't have Krishna Prema, so it's okay to have that motivation. You don't want to, who wants to take birth again? No, who wants to, you don't have to go through the womb. You don't know what you're going to get. And Prabhupada even mentioned, he says, get out now. Kali Yuga is going to get much worse. So this is a good time to finish our business here. And while we're here, we have a nice purpose, not just for saving ourselves, but then to save others. So we want to induce everyone with this hearing and chanting. And therefore, it's been arranged, this perfect system. This is the Christmas marathon, so I'll put my plug in for that, for distributing books. Especially in the West, you know, you don't have to know so many shlokas and convince people. You can just tell them, hey, you know, this is going to make you happy. Are you suffering? Yeah. But hey, this is nice knowledge from India. It'll make you happy, I'm telling you. Take one with you. Just give a donation. Coming up with clever ways to induce people to take the literature. In India, too, actually, if you're foreign in India, I find it's easier to sell books because I don't speak much Bengali or Hindi. So I just put it in their hand. I go, Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. And I show them the money. I don't have to answer anything. And you smile. Prabhupada. And you say, okay. But these Brahmins, they have to quote so many verses, don't you? Huh? No, this is not this, that one, this one, argue back and forth, right? So, some advantages of not learning Hindi or Bengali if you want to sell books. Even on the Parikaram, I never had that experience. This was maybe 5 years ago, Navadvip Parikaram. I thought, you know, I never sold a book on Parikaram. And we were at Chaitanya Mat, Bhaktisiddhanta's I thought, let me sell one book. So I took one 10 rupee book. And it was very blissful because everybody, kirtan, so many foreign devotees, so the local people are just, so I just put the book in his hand, Prabhupada, and he looked at me. And I showed him 10 rupees. And he said, 1 minute. So he runs off, comes back with 20 rupees. So I give him 2 books. He's like, no. I go, Prabhupada, thank you. He just finally, okay, whatever. I can't tell him I want change. I knew he wanted change, but I pretend like he didn't. So I gave him 2 books. So you can have adventure in Krishna consciousness too. It's not just drudgery. If you engage in, take up the Sankirtan mission, And Sankirtan doesn't necessarily mean you have to go out and sell books. There's so many things to do. You see, Jananiva says, is he known for distributing books? No. But many books have been distributed because of his service to the deities. So, but you have to, that is our mood. And then, of course, the Trinadapi Sunichina, very important. He says, with that verse, it says, this is how you can chant always. So whenever you're in difficulty, you find something in that verse to get you re-enthused. Don't let Maya bewilder you when there's some difficulty or some what appears to be an auspicious situation there. It's a test to make us stronger. That's seen on Uttamarika platform, of course, on a higher level. It doesn't mean we shouldn't neglect ordinary dealings either. I'm not saying that. But in the light of that. And then if we hear and chant regularly, therefore we have these morning programs, we have our 16 rounds. Prabhupada at every initiation, he would say, chant 16 rounds, fall further to the principles. So he made it easy. He didn't say, and Mangalartik, and Bhagavad. He didn't say that. He was merciful. Just chant 6 rounds. But if you want to do that, you need to do these other things. So you keep that, and then you will advance in Krishna consciousness. Quantity is most important in the beginning, and you try to make the quality better. You work on the quality, but you can't say, well, I'm going to chant 4 good rounds, because that's better than 16 bad rounds. No. Don't try to cheat. There's only 2 hours out of 24 hours. And then the prema will awaken. And when the prema awakens, you don't become disturbed. And it's very clear what to do, what not to do. And you have so many sadhu, shastra there to help guide us further. So I'm going to, which clock is right? I'm going to stop here. Any comments? Anybody like to add questions?
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji,
I don't hear it. I don't have my hearing aid either.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Now it's audible. Prabhuji, as you told that Srila Prabhupada was upset with Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj, so what is the reason? I could not understand.
Can somebody repeat? I couldn't hear. Say it louder. Oh, it was a managerial point that he was traveling around. We had bus party. People they took like this bus and converted them into temples. And the brahmacharis live in those buses. And they would go to places where we don't have temples and sell books. And they were selling lots of books. I think during that time they were selling probably 1 million bhakti-godheads in a month on the street. So, but he would show up at temples, and then, if you take the brahmacharis, who's going to run the temple? Right? But he didn't care. I'm like, I'm going to distribute books, that's their problem. He could have dropped some brahmacharis off, but he didn't. So we had our GBC by that time, and that's how very nice Prabhupada put that into place, and they settled the issue. That they took Radha Damodar party away from Tamal Krishna because no matter what they said to him, he didn't care. And then Prabhupada reaffirmed it. So, of course, Tamal Krishna is a very, very unique devotee in our movement, accomplished so much. I don't know if we can imitate his serving Prabhupada. Him and Prabhupada would always, sometimes he'd disagree with Prabhupada, right? Personally, whatever Prabhupada said, I go, okay. But he needed that sometimes. Someone to say, Prabhupada, no, I want to do this instead, or don't do like this. But he was the most surrendered soul, most surrendered. You should read his book, Servant of the Servant, that he discusses some of those points in there. Very nice read for all devotees. You know. So, anyway, I hope I answered your question. I'm going to get a hearing aid. I lost my hearing aid, and it's killing me these days. Anything else? So we can stop early. How's that? All glory, Shri Guru, Shri Garanga, Hari Hari Bol.